Hi there, welcome to Wyckoff Technical Analysis session for Ripple. Last week we talked about Ripple is reaching a breakout point and the breakout will happen by month end the latest. So this point was September 29th and it took the move 1 week earlier than the point. So that's why I always share that a breakout will not wait till the very tip of a cross before it takes a move. So what happens next then? Let's quickly find out. Here, this is the weekly chart of Ripple, and previously we talked about two different scenarios. The blue one, which is the more likely scenario now, and also the yellow one, another hypothesis that a whole bunch of activities here was a PSY, but it looks to me now is more like the blue scenario happening. And this week's candle that dropped outside of the uptrend, this blue box over here, that started sometime back in March, is now eventually coming down to test the key level of $2.7. It seems to have found support and rebounded a little. I'm trying to see whether I should adjust the box because it may not be completely over for the uptrend. So if I really adjust it to this point, just to make sure all the wicks are covered, both top and bottom, this box becomes pretty wide in that case. So I'm trying to make sure this wick is in the box as well. So I have to move the text a little. Yeah, this looks about right to me. So we've got one reference point here and one over here for the sign of weakness, and then this point plus the point we're seeing right now. So the uptrend, the momentum seems to have dropped a little, but it may not be completely over yet. So we still retain certain hope while the downtrend seems to be happening. Hey Jim Jam, I don't love any asset. I hope it doesn't disappoint you because they don't love us back basically. So here I'm still keeping the second test, the chance of it 25%, sign of weakness 75%. Reason being, if it is the blue scenario, if we are already beyond the upthrust of the distribution, then eventually it will be the end of the distribution cycle, meaning the price will come down for new accumulation. However, if it's the yellow scenario, there's still chance for it to go higher than where we got to back in mid-July. So that's a completely different scenario, but that's less likely for now. Let's stick to the blue one. And given the time point that the drop has happened, like this was the first time point that indicates near the end of this month, this move will happen, like where we're seeing now. But then, if the price successfully stays within this updated upward channel box, this blue box that I've just moved, this time point over here, that's pointing towards end of October, or like beginning of November. So one key thing, it has to trade within this triangle. If it doesn't, then this time point doesn't matter. So it will take some time, but that's the weekly time frame. And also, if I extend this line that told us at end of September breakout would happen, this point, even before end of October, this one somewhere before mid-October, that's another time point. So assuming the next 2 weeks, Ripple is going to trade very narrow range within this wedge. Then by mid-October, another breakout event would happen. And if this time it really breaks towards the downside, we'll have to adjust the channel box again, and it may eventually turn into a sideways box. But it is what it is. And in terms of volume, the selling today got a little bit higher than yesterday. There's still 21 hours left for today's candle, and it's already 50% higher in terms of volume compared to what we had yesterday. Obviously, there were some like buying the dip action over here. We see the long wick at the bottom of the candlestick, right? So you see this wick right there. Now let's move to the daily chart and see what's going on. So this narrow triangle over here was where it was pointing to near the end of the month. Actually, by today latest, a breakout should happen, and it took the move 1 week earlier. And now we're at this point where the candlestick is showing as finding support above the bottom or at the bottom edge of the upward trend box. So it's, I'll say, a relieving sign for some, but it doesn't mean it's over yet. So that was another LPSY right there. Well, I can keep adding, but because it's just too busy in the daily chart, I tend not to replicate too many tags. So if, like I said just now, it continues to trade within this wedge over here by mid-October, another breakout would happen, and this time the big guys will tell us, is it going to come back to challenge the blue key level, or is it going to dip outside of this channel box once again? And when that happens, if I extend this line further all the way to the light blue key level of $2.7, this point in early November is the second time point for another breakout event. And now that the price has touched the light blue key level, this sign of weakness that I put in for I don't know how many weeks already, I said it's 75% going to hit this point, and it already happened. So this is confirmed. AR2, unfortunately, that's the lower chance, and it did not happen as expected. And now, after sign of weakness, there may be another LPSY somewhere around here. Like I said, it may trade along this bottom edge just to reach this cross over here. And then when it breaks towards the downside, that would be another sign of weakness, or even going straight past the sign of weakness all the way to challenge the green key level of 2.45. So once again, 2 question marks and 2 75%. One is the bounce, and one is after the bounce. So is indicating that it may bounce up and then drops again. So if I have marked all these cycles correct, that's probably the likely scenario as of this moment, because the daily movements cannot go opposite from the weekly. So if the weekly is going to bounce up like next week within this range, trade narrow, then obviously the daily can only be confined to the same range. So that's why I am inclined to think that this downtrend is still going to continue for a bit, unless there are some crazily good news for Ripple to come out. So that's all for Ripple for this week. I'm going to the next session. See you over there. Thanks for joining.